is an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
The American League Division Series gets underway in sunny Southern California as Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, and the Slugging Sox take on Vladimir Guerrero and the High-Flying Angels in front of a packed house. With falling temperatures come rising hopes. The passion, the pressure, the change of seasons, and the charged atmosphere of the playoffs are in the air.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, oh Lord.
They're here again. A World Series that just was not to be, but Boston has said again, this is the year. The preseason moves, the big April start, the mid-season swoon, the trade of a favorite son. But when Varitek stood chin to chin with A.R.I.P, they made their intentions clear. We've waited long enough. Just 2 years ago, the Anaheim Angels were world champions. The same man who took them all the way then guides them now. A new cast led by MVP candidate Vladimir Guerrero will try to recreate the dream that lingers in their fans' recent memory, while the Red Sox look to deliver what their fans have dreamed of for a long, long time. League Division Series gets underway on a beautiful sun-drenched afternoon in Southern California. The Angel fans wearing red, hoping a repeat of 2 years ago to watch their AL West champion Anaheim Angels take on the wild card winning yet 98-game winning Boston Red Sox. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, so glad you can be with us. It's like Christmas for us here at ESPN, our 9th year and counting, bringing you the majority of the division series. Well, about 3 seconds after that ball hit by Aaron Boone fell into the stands last October at Yankee Stadium, everybody in Boston, the team, the management, the fans, they've been waiting for this day to begin. Of course, nothing's happened in the offseason, has it? Let's see. A-Rod not coming, Manny not going, Schilling coming, Nomar gone. More it's twists and turns in an Agatha Christie novel. Meanwhile, the Anaheim Angels stormed in late August and never looked back and overtook the A's to win the West at the end. We haven't seen a performance like this from Anaheim since... Wait a minute, actually we did see it 2 years ago when they won the World Series. We're ready to roll. I'm working with two gems here on this division series. Former Cy Young Award winner and a man that understands what big game on the mound is all about. Rick Sutcliffe, good to see you, partner. Curt Schilling pitches today. I think he's got this big game thing down, don't you?
I don't think there's any question about that. With a postseason career ERA of 1.66, Curt Schilling once again is ready to dominate in the postseason. Just 3 years ago, he did that, starting game 1, 4, and 7 against the New York Yankees. He brought a world championship to Arizona. Boston, as we know, has not had one since 1918. Again, Curt Schilling dominated during the regular season. He won 21 ball games, and he is focused now, Boomer, to dominate once again in the postseason.
20-game winner in 3 of the last 4 years. Well, completing the largest booth in the history of baseball, we double as the San Diego Chargers offensive line. The 8-time batting champion in the National League, Tony Gwynn. And Tony, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
You know what it's like to be a big-time player on the big stage for the first time. Vladimir Guerrero came over to the Angels from Montreal, an MVP candidate, yet his first postseason. How do you think he'll react this week?
Well, I think he's going to react fine. You look at his numbers during the season. He hit .337. He had 39 homers, drove in 126 runs. He was the biggest contributor down the stretch in the last 15 games to get the Anaheim Angels into this position. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of help from his teammates, but it's going to be interesting today to see if Vladimir can keep his composure, keep his wits amongst himself, because this Boston Red Sox staff, they're going to test him. They're going to see if he chases a lot of balls. Hopefully today we'll find out.
Well, he's got to keep it just in not overdrive.
Absolutely.
But he's got a lot of teammates on the Angels who have been through this before and have delivered big time, like Jared Washburn, the left-hander, so key in their run a couple of years ago. He gets the game one start against, as Tony mentioned, a Boston team that is pounding, and pounding. The slugging Red Sox against the Anaheim Angels, who do all the little things right. We're underway here in Southern California. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to a...
Welcome back to the Big E, Edison Field, as the Red Sox and Angels get set. And I mean, you could not ask. This is a Chamber of Commerce day here in Southern California. A packed house will be here, and the first time they've ever had the Angels and the Dodgers in the postseason, not only the same time, the same day. You see Johnny Damon leading off for the Red Sox. I think he's the key to the whole series. More on that. Mark Bellhorn at second base, hitting second for manager Terry Francona. Manny Ramirez, MVP candidate, of course, is in left field with 43 homers, led the league. David Ortiz, his running mate, with 41 homers, is the DH. Kevin Millar has played a lot of places. He has almost as many positions as hairstyles. He's hitting fifth. Jason Varitek, the emotional leader behind the plate, hitting sixth. Orlando Cabrera, whose trade coming over the last day of July from Montreal, one of the reasons why the Red Sox much better on D. Billy Miller at third base, the batting champ of a year ago, hitting eighth. And in right field, Gabe, welcome back Kapler. Trot Nixon has struggled with Jared Washburn, hence Kapler gets the go today. Nixon off the bench against the left-handed Jared Washburn, who since coming off from the DL has not pitched as well as he can, son.
Yeah, but one thing Mike Scioscia told us before the game, Boomer, was the fact that at the All-Star break, the starting pitching really started to get it together. That gave the Anaheim Angels an opportunity to catch the Oakland A's in the month of September. Washburn is a big game guy. He threw the first pitch of the World Series for Anaheim a couple of years ago. He's about to start off this postseason.
And he starts off, Tony, against the man at the leadoff spot. Johnny, I'm going to tell you, I know Manny Ramirez, I know Ortiz, and we could talk about the Angel key. I think if Boston wins, this guy has the best series at the plate and in the field, Johnny Dan.
There's no question he's been the catalyst for this offensive lineup. I mean, Ramirez and Ortiz get a lot of credit because they hit the ball out of the ballpark, but this is a guy who sets the table. And 94 RBIs from the leadoff spot. He's doing a pretty good job.
20 homers, 94 RBIs, hit at .304, scored 123 runs. Second in the lead only to Vladimir Guerrero, who scored 124. Well, he won't be to the key to the series with his first at-bat. Kevin Eckstein is there at shortstop, squeezes it, and there is one out here in the Boston first. The Angels have had a couple of changes on defense as well, Tony, down the stretch.
Yeah, and, you know, you look at this defensive lineup here, without Guillen in left field, Mike Scioscia talked about today how defense was important, and he wanted to put Alfredo Amezaga at second base because he felt like defensively this was a better defensive lineup for his team today. And so pitching and defense is an important part of the Angels' game plan going into this series.
Well, he starts him off with a strike on Mark Bellhorn, who walks a lot. The bad news is he strikes out a lot, breaking the Red Sox single-season mark for strikeouts held since the mid-'80s by their one-time skipper at a time, and certainly third baseman Butch Hobson. 177 Ks, Bellhorn. So walking or striking out, which means when does the bat get on the ball? I don't get it.
That bat got on the baseball 17 times this year and ended up leaving the ballpark. He's one of those guys, Tony, that you know. I mean, he's got some safe zones that you can go to as far as a pitcher's concerned, but you make a mistake, he'll hurt you.
Little flare. Going out as Amezaga, coming in as Vlad Guerrero makes a fine running catch, and you could see him pull up a little bit there, gimping. Something to keep an eye on, both Anderson and Guerrero. Little lame out in the outfield, but they're two out. Kyle Peterson is working with us all this series. Kyle, down on the field, some early observations.
Yeah, guys, Manny Ramirez, David
David Ortiz really has led this Red Sox lineup from the middle. They both hit 3-4 over the course of the season, but regardless who's hitting third or fourth, the results have been the same. They've accomplished something that hasn't been done in over 70 years. First group of teammates to hit at least 300, at least 40 home runs, drive in at least 100 since 1931. And boom, you might have heard of the two guys that did it then, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig.
It's pretty good stuff. You're on any list, any page, you're in the same book with those guys. I think we'll take it. So Ramirez looks at ball one.
These two guys created a lot of history this year. The first duo for Boston since 1969 with 40 or more home runs. That was Carl Yastrzemski and Rico Petrocelli.
That's a great duo for Scrabble too, when you had Yaz and Rico. Home runs and Scrabble, they were the best. 1-1 the count to the dangerous Manny Ramirez. Tough pitch right there.
Already, Rick, it looks like Washburn is going to mix his changeup in there. And, this one he took a lot off of it.
You just take a look at that square. You throw anything in that square and this team can square it up. You have to make it look like it's going to end up there with that late movement out of that zone. Washburn thus far has gotten it done in this at bat.
I think the fans are into this early. This is not Southern California like at all. That'll do that again, fouling it off himself. They broke these sticks out from 2 years ago. You think these are new issue rally sticks? What do you think?
Well, they didn't need them last year.
So they're rested. Is that what you're saying?
Took a year off.
Yeah. They got the tire pump out this morning to get these things going again.
Well, one of the things I did this morning when we were talking to manager Mike Socia of the Anaheim Angels was I stopped in the video room and just kind of take a look at Washburn's start against Boston earlier this year.
Right, he's gotten everybody to pop it up in the first inning.
And the thing he did in that early start was he came right after guys. He challenged people with his fastball, and already today, he's gotten a couple of pop-ups because he's taken a little bit off the fastball.
1-2 the count to Manny Ramirez. '29-year-old Jared Washburn looking in. Up top. Ball two.
What discipline from Manny Ramirez. I mean, way out in front of the first two strikes, but Tony, he knew he had one more left, and he has adjusted since then.
The other thing about Manny, boy, 2 strikes, he just does not phase it.
No, says Jerry Meals, doesn't punch the ticket for the strikeout, and so Manny has the full count.
Well, the crowd knows how dangerous he is. They were hoping to get that call, but I believe he made the correct call.
Larry Young is behind the plate. Meals at first. Brian Runge at second. Gary Cedarstrom at third. The crew chief Ed Montague left field line. Kerwin Danley on the right field line. Your ups today. And it is off the glove of Sean Figgins. Bounds into left. Can Manny turn this into second? Yes. Figgins in at third base for a little defense as they've done a lot of shuffling. He's played so well. They call that a base hit, and so it'll be a double.
I don't know how they can do that.
No.
I mean, again, he makes the great pitch down. You see everything he was doing to get where he wanted in this at bat. I mean, there was some indecision, Tony, on the part of Figgins there. He kind of hesitated for a second. Then when he tried to come in, he actually caught that ball on the toughest possible hop he could have had. That's an E5.
Yeah, you're right. That's an error. Figgins hesitated when if he'd have come in, he could have probably taken it on a shorter hop. Instead, stayed back, and that ball just kind of bounced up on him and beat him up pretty good over there. And now Ramirez is in scoring position.
And the lefty, or David Ortiz, the bat goes flying, and the ball goes off the glove of Mezzega, and Ramirez going to score. Mezzega couldn't come up with it. A tough play in the hole. Ortiz first pitch swinging, in Boston on the board.
I mean, that was the first thing Mike Scioscia told us this morning was he wanted the best infield defense he could get. No question in my mind this is a base hit, but Amezaga has got to keep that ball in front of him. If he keeps it in front of him, he is able to keep Manny Ramirez from scoring a run. That was the problem with Figgins. I mean, he tried to olay the baseball. It got by him. It turned what might have been an E5 on first base to an E5 on second. Boston's got the lead.
Kevin Millar looks at a fastball up high. Millar, the first 2.5 months of the year, you were wondering where that power was that you saw so much of last year. And long around late June, he started to light it up. And for Kevin, ended up with 18 home runs, many of them of the large variety for Boston. In there for a strike. So 2 balls off the gloves of Angels, and Boston has scored a run with 2 out.
Tony Millar talked about what got him going was he opened up his stance. What did that do for him?
A lot of times when you open up your stance, it gives you a better look at the baseball coming out of the pitcher's hands. And for him, obviously, that's
Rip it foul.
no problem. That's made a huge difference. He's feeling like he's getting a better look at the ball. When you're getting a better look at the ball, you can wait a lot better. You're not nearly fooled as much. And Millar, pretty much will admit to you he's a pull hitter. He's not a guy that's looking, to lay the ball the other way. He's, looking for a ball middle part of the plate that he can pull and hit up the middle.
He'll go the other way with this, right at Vlad Guerrero, who squeezes it. But Boston does some damage on some balls the Angels could have handled. Curt Schilling has a run to work with.
ESPN's Major League Baseball Division Series, presented by Budweiser. Budweiser, grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. And in part by Xerox, helping your business grow in unexpected ways.
Yeah, Boston got a run in the first inning. 2 out, seeing eye single by David Ortiz. And now the Angels do the little things so well. Didn't do it so well in the top of the first. Trying to come back against one of, as Rick Sutcliffe told you in the beginning, one of the great big game pitchers, certainly, of this era. That'll be Curt Schilling. Sean Figgins leads it off at third base, has been a spark plug. Darren Erstad is playing first base these days. Vladimir Guerrero, MVP candidate in right field. Garrett Anderson in center field. Troy Glaus, the one-time third baseman, didn't expect him back at all this year, but he's the DH. That's young Jeff Devannon in left field. Benji Molina's your catcher. David Eckstein hitting 8th at short. Alfredo Amezaga is your second baseman. And they'll go up against the big right-hander, Curt Schilling. Born once upon a time in Anchorage, Alaska. He is Schilling in there for a strike. And we welcome, thank you very much, John Miller and Joe Morgan and crew. Thank you very much, and welcome here to Anaheim. A beautiful afternoon. If you watch the end of the Cardinals win over the Dodgers, welcome aboard. We are Sean Figgins striking out against Curt Schilling here to lead off the Anaheim first. With 2 out and nobody on, Manny Ramirez a seeing eye double. David Ortiz a seeing eye single. 1-0 Boston. 21-6, Curt Schilling.
And an easy decision for Terry Francona as to who to start in game 1. Some people thought it would have been Pedro Martinez, but this isn't the first time that Curt Schilling has moved in front of a Hall of Famer. It was done 3 years ago in Arizona when Bob Brenly started Schilling instead of Randy Johnson in game 1. He just thought simply that Curt Schilling was better prepared and focused to get that first win for him. He did it there.
Well, Schilling this season, Boston in his 32 starts, 25-7. And from May 19th on, Boston 20-4 when Curt Schilling toes the proverbial slab. This is Darren Erstad, who is one of the proud and one of the old-time ball players of these Anaheim Angels, the way he plays. And he smacks it to center field. Coming on is Johnny Damon. It wasn't a smack. Damon read it as that. Took a full rip. And Damon kind of waited. And the Angels are in business.
Exactly right. And Erstad took a big swing and hit it off the end of the bat and dropped it in.
Now here's the defense, Tony, for the Boston Red Sox.
So Cabrera's come over and just really given this Red Sox infield some stability. You see he's a Gold Glove winner. Has given them some stability. You know, and this is the one part of the game here where the Angels hope to try to take advantage of the Red Sox is when they get guys on and maybe can take advantage of the outfield throwing arms.
Now here's a guy that could take advantage with one swing, Vladimir Guerrero. And everybody wants to make sure they get their sign straight with this guy. 39 homers, 126 RBIs, 337. Led the American League with 124 runs scored. Had 39 doubles. Oh, by the way, stole 15 bases.
And that's what Darren Erstad is trying to make Curt Schilling think that he will do.
Guerrero sends it to left. Manny Ramirez, though, has plenty of room. And Erstad back to first with 2 outs.
There was no chance that Darren Erstad was going to try to steal a place with Vladimir Guerrero there. What he wanted to do was give Vladimir Guerrero a good pitch to hit. Tony, we know Vladimir Guerrero has a big box. I mean, he can handle a lot of different pitches. That ball just in enough to stay in the park.
Yeah, you know, in the K-zone is going to be great today for fans, especially with Schilling on the hill, because what he's going to do today is he's going to try to start balls in that box and running them out. Whether it's a split finger or the slider, when he's throwing the off-speed stuff, he wants to start it in the box and get it to run out.
Center fielder Garrett Anderson hitting cleanup.
Here's a great time to run, Boomer. A couple of reasons. One, Anderson's not the power guy that Vladimir Guerrero is. You look for doubles out of him from time to time. Plus, you've got a left-handed hitter in the box, which blocks the catcher's view of when that base runner takes off.
Well, Erstad has 16 stolen bases, but I know you're talking about hitting and running.
He only got caught once, so he's going to have to get a good jump because Schilling is quick to home plate. But this is an opportunity for Mike Scioscia to get the game started.
Swinging through that one is Garrett Anderson. Was had an injury-plagued season, yet there he is out in center field. I mean, the Angels don't have a lot of options. Erstad could play center, but then, you know, with Tim Salmon, who, by the way, threw out the first pitch here. Very emotional moment. Salmon, knee surgery, upcoming shoulder surgery. He's going to be here with the team for all the games. So he's not there. Gloss, the third baseman, he's the DH. So they don't have a lot of options on defense. And here's Damon coming on again, but that one hangs up there for him. And so the difference, fly ball outs to the outfield. 1-0 Red Sox. Back here with a look at the rock pile out on left center field. 1-0 Red Sox behind Curt Schilling here as we begin the second inning. Chris Berman, Tony Gwynn, Rick Sutcliffe. Well, you couldn't ask for a better day here. This is why is my jacket on? What am I, a nut?
You've had a lot going on.
Yeah, I have had a lot going on. This is great. Postseason baseball. We're thrilled to bring it to you again here on ESPN. Jason Varitek against Jared Washburn to begin the second inning for Boston. This time Figgins an easy grounder at third. Over to Erstad, and there is 1 out. You know, the Boston Red Sox for a long time this season, you're wondering, come on now. They started brilliantly in April, had the lead. They were 15-6 and up on the Yankees by 2.5 games. But then for 3.5 months, mediocre, just over 500 baseball. August 15th, they were 10.5 back. But since August 16th, on a rainy night at home against Toronto, they've been 34-12.
And how do you know it was a rainy night against Toronto?
I sat at that game, and it was wet. But they have been.
Say that on my media guy. It says they won.
They won that day, and they're 34-12. The point being, they gelled. That was a couple of weeks. It was 3 weeks after the Varitek A-Rod scrap, late July. That was 2 weeks after Orlando Cabrera, Doug Mankiewicz came over. Nomar Garcia-Pera, and it's not to put on they needed to get. That's not what we're saying. And then it took a couple of weeks, and then they played what they feel fundamental baseball. Everything clicked in the locker room. Draw your own conclusions, some of which are right, some of which are wrong. But they've been a different ball club the last 6 weeks. How's that play by Erstad, huh? Is that a play by a guy who holds the record in the American League for most consecutive chances in center field without an error?
Yep. Well, Tony, he won what you would know all about. 2 Gold Gloves playing in the outfield. That couldn't have hurt him on this play.
No, and you know what? He made a play like this in Oakland on Friday night, too. He went back, you know, with his back turned to home plate. And that's a tough play, and he made it look relatively easy.
Takes speed, first of all, to get there.
Yep.
And then to have the calm to secure that baseball over your back.
It's Bill Miller, who was hurt a lot of that time with the knee injury and then came back and it was still bothering him. So that was part of that mediocre 3.5 months, if you will. But Cabrera, Mankiewicz, and others, I mean, you have a lot of analysis on why the Red Sox are this sort of team here now, 34-12.
We're going to say a lot of nice things about Cabrera during this series. The one thing we need to say to begin with, in fairness to Nomar Garciaparra, he was never healthy this year.
Correct.
He was going to play defense on one leg all year long. They got a healthy guy in Carrera. And the reason they were .500 for that long period of time, Boomer, they couldn't catch the baseball. They led all of baseball in allowing unearned runs. You can't do that. I don't care how good your pitching staff is. Theo Epstein was talking about what gave him the freedom to make that move, the general manager, trading Nomar and bringing Cabrera in, was what the Anaheim Angels did to his ball club during a series back in May here. They embarrassed him by putting pressure on the defense. And he says, you know what, I knew right then we had to get better defensively for us to get better as a team, and give him the credit for making that move and doing it.
It's a lot easier to manage when you can count on, well, you hope 27 outs, not 30, right?
That's very true.
And
that's exactly what Kurt Schilling said. We were giving the opponents 30 outs a night, and we were only getting 27.
Yeah. This is a great hitting Boston club, but you saw the record, 49 and 46 in that stretch in the middle where
they were wondering, are we ever going to get going? Miller on first with 2 out and a ball up high to Gabe Kapler, the number 9 hitter. Are we ever going to get going? Are they ever? What's the matter here? Is there trouble? They don't seem to. I mean, they're a free and easy ball club in the locker room, and that's great, with more hairstyles than they have players. And it's all good, but it just wasn't clicking for a variety of reasons. And all of a sudden, Washburn is way off the mark.
Well, you talk about, giving away runs. That's exactly what Anaheim did in the top of the first. They gave them a couple of more outs. They took advantage of it. Now you see the patience there on the part of Bill Miller to get on base. You throw Washburn into the stretch. He can't find home plate right now. And if Kapler gets on, you're right back to the top of the order.
One thing back to Boston for a moment. I mean, when they were 10.5 back of the Yankees, they were the only thing you saw printed in the Boston papers is the wild card standings. I don't think the players were worried about, gee, 10.5, we can still catch the Yankees. But the wild card situation helped them get on fire, along as all the other moves. Then all of a sudden, they were in a pennant race. And in the end, I'll just make this comment: the Red Sox chasing the Yankees till the last few days of the season might actually end up helping New York as well. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think. I think it will, because there was still something to play for. And the Yankees really had to fight. This is the hardest they've had to fight to win a division. At the same time,
off the glove of Washburn, Kapler runs well, but not well enough to beat that out. Washburn makes the play to Erstad. And we head to the bottom of the second here. And a sea of red, 1-0 Red Sox. Bottom of the second inning here on ESPN. The Red Sox scored a run of the first. And now here comes Anaheim. There's what happened in the first with 2 out, none on. Manny Ramirez, a ball that could not be handled by Figgins at third. A double, and then Ortiz bat flying, ball flying. And Amezaga makes a mess of it. And so that goes as a single by Ortiz. And loosey-goosey Red Sox have their 1-0 lead. Troy Gloss to lead off the second inning against Kurt Schilling. Gloss, the DH, he said, I talked to him before the game, said, I knew I was coming back. So, well, you were the only one.
Yeah.
And that was what counted.
Yeah.
They weren't counting on him at all.
Yeah, they weren't. But he knew, he said when he had surgery, he was going to come back and be part of it in September.
That ball right down the line over a leaping Miller, rattles around for Ramirez, and that's an easy stand-up double to lead off the bottom of the second for Anaheim by Troy Gloss.
Well, and another thing hitting coach Mickey Hatcher told us about Troy Glaus is that when he gets on base, he scores runs. And he does it right here. You take a look at the K zone. Schilling made a mistake with his location, Glaus all over it, and that is just a big, big bat that we remember from a couple of years ago in that big World Series win for the Anaheim Angels.
Absolutely.
Troy Glaus was the MVP in that World Series with 3 home runs.
Well, they all hit that postseason. Huh? I mean, that was, talk about a mashing job of over the Yankees, the Twins, and the Giants. I mean, they wore out all the horse iron. Jeff Devannon showing bunt.
I love what Socha did right there, because Anaheim once again led the American League in productive outs, Tony, which means moving runners. Curt Schilling is not the easiest guy in the world to pull the ball off of, is he?
No. He's not. And
well, he's swinging away here and pops it. Manny Ramirez in a tough sun field. He at times takes the circuitous route. Made some great plays on the left this year, and some others. That was an out. Okay, his double kind of wasn't really a double, and that wasn't really an out. But that's the way it's a little what he's looking at here.
No, but that's a nice way to put. Some of the others. Here we go. He's battling. He's doing everything he can. You see the glasses there, and eventually you see the catch.
He's doing a primetime highlighted.
we got the high California sky.
Yep. Benji Molina, the older of the 2 brothers who are the 1 and 2 catchers here for Anaheim.
I think I wanted to say, excuse me, Rick and Boomer, is Sutcliffe and I'm looking at you.
Sun's getting to you, pal.
Schilling in that situation, you know, Devannon showed bunt, and what he did, he came back and he threw an off-speed pitch, knowing Devannon wanted to try to pull the ball, got him out in front. Got the fly ball to left field.
Keeps the
that
infield
runner
back.
Absolutely.
If you would have stayed with that bunt, I'm sure Mike Socha would like to have now. He turned the young kid loose. And the young kid has had a great year, but you never know how they're going to handle game 1. This is a different.
And we've seen that already. You know, Figgins staying back on the ball instead of coming up on it. Meziga not keeping that ball in the infield, allowing that run to score. And already we've seen Anaheim Angels not execute.
Bill Miller at third, across to Millar. Glaus standing right at second base, and now there's 2 out.
Right there, if you would have stayed with the sacrifice bunt, you probably would have brought all of the infield in, Tony. That ball might have gotten by Miller.
Maybe got by Miller, or just change the situation. Instead of looking for a ball down, you look for one up, get a fly ball. That, you know, one of the reasons why this team won the whole thing in 2002 was because they were aggressive on the bases and because they executed at the plate. And already today in the first 2 innings, we didn't see them execute on the defensive end. Gave the Red Sox 4 outs in an inning. They took advantage of it. Didn't move that runner from second base. And now he's still standing there with 2 outs.
This is a spark plug of a shortstop, David Eckstein. Another man that was a big part of that World Series team as the wild card club 2 years ago. Eckstein at 276 has had a nice year, 16 stolen bases as well, so he moves if he gets on. But with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's at the bottom of every hitter in the American League, 133. And now that I've read that, you know what's going to happen. But maybe not against Schilling, but at some point, you'll see him get a base knock with a runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
So he talked about yesterday, you know, knowing that Schilling is going to throw strikes, and he needs to be aggressive.
Well, speaking of strikes, like this one. We get to the next pitch. 1-on-1 to Eckstein. Glaus at second. Up top. From August 14th on, 9 starts Schilling, 8-0. All right, August 14th, he's walked 9 guys. Hello.
Yeah, and so you know, in my mind, if I'm facing Curt Schilling, you know, I'm looking for something that I can hit probably early in the count. I'm going to make him throw that breaking ball or that split finger for a strike.
To right field. And right there is Kepler. Glaus's leadoff double goes for naught. 2 are in the books here at Anaheim. 1-0 Boston.
ESPN's Major League Baseball Division Series, presented by Budweiser, brought to you by Jaguar Cars, Jaguar, born to perform, and Yellow Book. Advertise your business in Yellow Book. Call 1-800-YB-YELLOW.
And welcome back to Anaheim, our aerial coverage, courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. It's Fleet of Airships, reminding you to travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. And we thank those gentlemen, and perhaps ladies, for our views in it. I mean, this is just bring the suntan oil to the game. It's just perfect. And the Red Sox have the one-run lead with a run in the first for Curt Schilling, and now they begin with the top of the order. Johnny Damon, who popped to short to begin the game.
I've got to go back to the top of the second when Bill Miller walked with 2 outs and nobody on. Bill Miller's not going to take you deep in this ballpark when you stay away. If you throw strikes there, you get him out. It's not Johnny Damon leading off this inning. So that walk right there, it turns the order around, and you know you're going to have to face at least Manny Ramirez in this inning.
Damon with the open stance, then moves the foot in and looks at that one. 1-2, Washburn to Damon here in the third.
Well, he just went wild this year, didn't he?
He was great. You know, I just, every time I see him, I think, you know, Johnny, I'm just so envious. I used to have hair like that. I can't do it anymore. He goes, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Shaved the beard for charity, but right back. The House of David look for Johnny Damon. Whatever works.
Even the swing's kind of unorthodox. It kind of gets out in front, but you know what? He gets the barrel of the bat on a baseball.
Oh, he's
so player. Strong.
And he is. He's strong.
Yeah, he understands how to keep it alive.
He's been around for a while and really good at fouling off pitches until he can get something that he can handle, and if you're not careful, he'll hit it out of the ballpark.
He's waited 20 at bats now, though, from Jared Washburn to get something he can handle. He still only has 1 hit in those 20 at bats.
Now staying alive, part of the reason he has 98 hits with 2 strikes, which is the second most in the American League.
Tony, what do you change when a guy basically dominates you like this?
You know, when you're facing a guy that you haven't had a lot of success against, a lot of it is mental. Do you go up there and with saying that you're beat, or do you say I'm due?
Oh, Washburn has handled him twice in the strikeout here. Waved and went up high.
He didn't look like a real confident guy during this whole at bat, chasing a lot of pitches out of the zone. We look at K's zone here once again. That is what happened there. And Tony, I love what you said there, because that's what Mickey Hatcher, the hitting coach for Anaheim, told his team about Curt Schilling. Yep. He said, if you're beat when you walk into the box, we got no chance. That's that confidence.
Yep. You got to believe in what you're doing and believe in your approach.
Mark Bellhorn fouls the first pitch off. He's been well traveled. Began the year a year ago as the quote answer to the Chicago Cubs perennial question of who's going to play third before Ramirez got over there. Then was it Colorado after that last year, but Boston, they were finding him. He big contributor was Bellhorn, even though, as we mentioned, a lot of Ks, a lot of walks.
He's got some big shoes to fill for Boston and what happened at second base there last year. We remember the 5 home runs Todd Walker hit in the postseason for Boston. 3 in this round against Oakland.
Well, to be honest, that's what was surprising to me, was Walker had some big hits for this team last year. I was really surprised they let him go.
Yeah, they Pokey Reese. I mean, they originally were thinking, well, maybe get a little defense at second. Reese, and then Nomar hurt. Reese played short a lot of the first part of the year. Bellhorn had more of an opportunity. Well, that August 16th game I went to that we talked about in the rain, which is how I know about that. Mankiewicz played second base the one day, and that's when Delgado plowed him. And you know, Theo Epstein took a lot of, what do you want to use the word chutzpah? Why not? To make some of the deals that he made. This is Figgins over to Erstad, and Bellhorn is gone. Theo at 30 years young, and as general manager of this club, has made move after move after move. I mean, Manny on waivers, by the way, people forget that. Okay, they signed Schilling. They signed Folk. They had the bullpen by committee a year ago. Well, that didn't work. Let's try a real closer. It's Folk. It almost had A-Rod, and then on Valentine's Day, I still have the newspaper headlines at home, reading the New York and the Boston papers when it was apparent that A-Rod was going to the Yankees. It's like reading the French and German papers describing the same battle in World War II. They were completely different stories. Valentine's Day massacre, said the Boston Globe. The New York Post, field of dreams. It's only a couple hundred miles apart. But yet through it all, here's this ball club that is 34-12 down the stretch.
I think it might have been a wake-up call for Manny Ramirez. You know, you're doing some things offensively, but we need more. Pedro Martinez now is in that situation, a free agent at the end of the year. Theo Epstein with a decision to make there. But he flat motivated this team. And he talked about how tough it was on him the first month after trading Nomar. He said he couldn't go anywhere in Boston.
No.
You know, he's a guy that Theo sits in the stands. And I mean, he hears about it, and he heard about it for a long time. Well, there's ought to be some people when they get back to Boston that come up and say, hey, you know, you were right after all.
You know what? I'm sure there are a lot of people who have grown to think that same thing. But you know, when I see Theo, he used to work for the Padres.
Well, little young kids in Boston for a month or two, or maybe some even now, still crying at night, going to sleep. Nomar. Hey, look, I'm not. I feel it's sad that Nomar is still not a Red Sox. I mean, we could take an hour and get into it, but
he'll be healthy next year.
Yeah, he will. He's still can be a great player. We know that, but he was the link. Williams, Yaz, Nomar. While Washburn trying to nibble again with Ramirez, doesn't get that one. But it's not easy to just trade a guy like that. But you don't just
be.
I mean, he was the link. I mean, the image of me when Ted Williams died, he and Johnny Pesky walking arm in arm around each other out to the Green Monster, consoling Pesky, Williams' friend and teammate. Meanwhile, Washburn has Manny Ramirez guessing, doesn't like the call, but he will sit. 2 Ks for Washburn. Welcome back to Anaheim. The view from the rock pile, and caught between a rock and a hard place trying to hit off this guy, Curt Schilling. Alfredo Amezaga, the second baseman, number 9 hitter, leading off for the Angels, who trail 1-0 here, bottom 3. Young man born in Mexico, to high school in Miami. And playing second, because we haven't mentioned his name yet, Adam Kennedy, another big part of this team. A couple years ago, it's early this year, gone for the year. May not play till the middle of next year. They're hoping that's not the case. So that's why, well, who's this guy at second? There's another change they had to make.
Well, not only did they miss the bat of Adam Kennedy, but they miss his defense as well. You know, with his postseason experience, he would have kept that ball in front of him on the base hit by Ortiz, and this could be a scoreless game.
Up top to little Amezaga, who had that grand slam and that huge Friday night 10-0 pasting of the Oakland A's that really for the first time since early in the year gave the Angels the inside track on the West. He hit the slam. By the way, just while we mention this, how about Andres Galarraga he's not on the postseason roster, at least this round, being called up by the Angels, hitting a homer, number 399, the smile around the bases. That was really great to see.
Well, one of the most respected guys in all of baseball. In fact, the number on the back of Manny Ramirez jersey directly related to the Big Cat, who's one of his heroes.
2-2 pitch, and Amezaga swings through that. So Curt Schilling, who began his professional career in the Red Sox organization, says, you know what, I'm back. What curse of the Bambino?
I'm a Christian. I know for a fact it doesn't exist, and that's not, you know, the curse is all about, it's for people that need an excuse for why one team was better than the Red Sox whenever. It comes down to execution. Right now, between now and the end of the playoffs, you got to win 11 games.
Well, I agree with him, because by definition, a curse is when you purposely try to harm or bring discontent to somebody. Boomer, let's face it, all they did, they made a bad trade. All right? They traded Babe Ruth for some money. That's not a curse, man. That's stupidity on your front office.
Sut, can I ask you a question?
What?
I do travel with you a little bit. I have never seen a dictionary in that briefcase of yours. You looked that up.
My daughter, who's a senior at TCU, gave that to
I see, Shelby. I get it. I knew you needed some help with that one. Well, hey, look, if he'd Schilling, what else would you expect a guy whose wife, he and his wife Shonda have 4 kids. The oldest name is Garrick. Of course, there's no curse of the Bambino. Meanwhile, at the top of the order, Sean Figgins with the second hit each inning for the Angels. And of course, you know, everywhere they go, they see these signs. 1918, Babe Ruth started and won 2 games in that 1918 World Series. You could argue, though, that the reason the Red Sox even won that World Series is that they played the Cubs. Somebody had to win. They won a lot. They were 5-0 back when in the World Series, but since then, well, you know. Is this the year? Well, the Angels certainly don't think so from Boston's standpoint. Boston likes the fact that the champion, the World Series champ the last 2 years, has been a wild card team. Marlins last year, Angels 2 years ago. Maybe that means something.
Look, again, it just, Curt Schilling, what he said really, it makes a lot of sense. It's about execution. It's about getting opportunities and cashing them in. And so far, Boston's been able to do that in this game so far.
And here's a great opportunity here for Mike Scioscia to do what he does best, which is manage. He talked about it in the 0-2 World Series that they won. He says it doesn't have to be the best team.
No.
I think on paper we all would agree Boston's a better ball club. It's who's playing the best baseball at that time. Well, for Anaheim to win, Mike Scioscia is going to almost have to be perfect with starting his runners.
Figgins bluffs. Had a good jump, although on Schilling does a good job.
Yeah,
he guys on holding runners on, and he better. The Angels lead the American League with 143 stolen bases.
You can see he doesn't really have the big high leg kick. He throws so hard that it gets to home plate quicker than most people do. But Tony, more importantly, you're a guy that likes to steal bases. I mean, he really does a good job varying his delivery and looks to first base.
He holds the ball sometimes. He's doing here.
Everything but the Louis Tiant shake, right? I mean, I imagine Tiant out there for a minute.
And that's to throw your timing off as a base runner. You know, you're trying to anticipate when he's going to make his first move to the plate. And by holding the ball, that interrupts that timing for Sean Figgins.
The other half of what I told you, the Angels led the league in stolen bases. The Red Sox allowed the most, 123. Tantalizing off-speed pitch.
You go now. You go now.
Let me just say one thing. This is not, you say 123. Boy, Varitek must not have an arm. Not the case at all.
No, in this case, too, because Schilling gets rid of the ball pretty quickly, it's more, instead of straight stealing, it's probably going to be a run and hit or hit and run.
He's going. Varitek's throw, and that's a little wide. Safe.
This is all Darren Erstad making his manager look real smart. This is the straight steal here. You knew that Figgins was going to be off and running. If it were a fastball, he might have protected him. But it was an off-speed pitch, and watch what Erstad does. He turns around, he puts the bat in front of Varitek. Look at the late jump Varitek got coming out of the box because he had to stay back in case Erstad put it to bunt down. That created the SB.
How about the effort by Cabrera, almost getting a tag there. Meanwhile, now Erstad trying to hack it. The 3-2 fouls it off. That Erstad's just such a fundamental play. You love to come to watch a guy like this play.
Yeah, he's an old schooler.
Tony, you know that as a manager. I mean, he absolutely froze the catcher with that bat out there in front of him. He couldn't come out and make that throw that he wanted to make because of Erstad knowing how to play winning baseball.
And you know what? If Varitek had a clear look and makes a better throw, he's probably going to get Figgins. But because he couldn't jump out there, throw was on the shortstop side of second.
The appeal by Varitek noses Gary Cedarstrom, the third base up, base on balls. So the Angels, who trail it 1-0 here, in a little bit of business against Curt Schilling, and their crowd knows it in the bottom of the third. Chris Berman, Rick Sutcliffe, Tony Gwynn for ALDS Game 1. And here comes Vlad, his first postseason game. His years in Montreal where he excelled. 40 home run seasons, now has a chance to play on a bigger stage here in the postseason with Anaheim. Swing at the first pitch. And Kapler in right. Figgins can move. Strong throw, but Figgins will get in there.
Well, glad he's been to the plate twice, and he swung at the first pitch both times. You know, first time he flied to left. You know, this ball's out over the plate, maybe on the edge.
Isn't it always there with Schilling on the mound?
Yeah, we saw in his first at bat, he was inside off the edge. This time it's outside off the edge.
I don't know of anybody in the game that has better fastball location than Curt Schilling, both in and out and up and down when he wants it.
Runners on the corners for the Angels. Sean Figgins at third. Darren Erstad at first, and Garrett Anderson is up.
It's going to be interesting to see how Schilling pitches to Anderson here. You know, Anderson's leg's been a little banged up here.
And it's that back leg, which he has always used to get that power to drive the baseball. Well out in front in his first at bat when he popped up to center field. And Tony, you know, I mean, you played for a long time with bad legs as well. I mean, you try to get off of them as quick as you can.
You try to, your back leg is what enables you to stay back on the ball. And, you know, once that weight starts to shift, it's going to go. It's going to keep going forward. And so, you know, in the Oakland series, the A's tried their best to keep the ball away from him. If they made a mistake in the middle, he could still hit it pretty hard. But I'm betting they're going to try to keep the ball away from him. They're not even going to try to pitch him inside.
Ball one away. Figgins jumping around at third. Slow chopper to Cabrera. Makes the play to first to Millar. And so Schilling strands two. The game remains 1-0 Boston.